Good time zone. Hello, good mammals. How do you do?
Good morning. Good time zone.
Thank you all for being here. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Be descriptive.
Yeah, how you feeling?
Get specific. What's up? Hello, I am feeling excited. I'm feeling a little bit anxious.
Me too.
I'm feeling medium prepared. How's everybody doing? Feeling completely overwhelmed with university. Oh, ideas
feeling
meal.
tired, feeling exhausted but happy.
I see some happies. I see some tireds.
Splantastic.
Feel some greats. We are feeling
sad.
comfy. We're trying to keep it comfy cozy.
Totally.
Comfy cozy.
Comfy cozy.
There you go. Mostly tired, sleepy.
Feeling everything.
Some are stressed. Some are chilled. Some are happy. Some are okay. Some are sleepy, lazy, and happy. Some are fabulous. Mostly tired, comfy.
Thrilled, tired but anxious.
Feeling fancy. I like that.
Ooh.
Feeling fancy indeed.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us for our first ever Good Mammal stream.
But that doesn't make any sense. What does good mammal even mean?
Well, I don't know, Brian. What does good mammal mean?
Well, Amelia, what it means is basically Amelia and I have been streaming on Twitch for over 5 years, and we have played through a lot of games. A lot of the games that you all seem to recommend and enjoy the most are story games, stories with emotions, and also games that rely on player choice are a big part of our adventures here on Twitch. And that being said, we've had some really, really interesting discussions getting into some heavy topics, some fun topics, some things we didn't even know existed until they present themselves in the game. So over the course of our streaming, we've had some really insightful and interesting conversations with all of you. And we've gotten some very positive feedback about the parts of our streams that you enjoy the most. And a lot of those are similar to the ones where we do like... self-care spa days where we've done some nice relaxing, some poetry reading, some meditations, some stretching, mindfulness, basically being a human. And I was thinking about when we did our Detroit Become Human anniversary stream, which we just celebrated 5 years, and the full playthrough's up on YouTube if you want to check it out. That we are all connected by this game where androids are discovering that they have the ability to be empathetic, which means they can feel the emotions of other androids and of other people around them. And so this is basically the quest of the androids is to understand human emotions.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, well, how do we take becoming human to another level? I was like, well, is it becoming a better human? Like, I'm always into like kind of a self-improvement kind of a thing. But calling something better human just is too evaluative. I don't want to make it about like, oh, I'm a good one or I'm a bad one or whatever. And so I'm being reductive with this. My point of view is that, well, basically humans could get along just on the basis that we are all humans, right? Like our humanity would be enough. Let's not get worried about where are people from, what is their skin color, what are their religious beliefs, what are their sexual orientations or gender identities. What does it matter? We're all just humans. Apparently that's not enough. So I'm going one step lower. We are all mammals.
Yes.
Okay? And if you can get on board with the fact that you are a mammal, let us all just not even be better humans or best humans or our best selves. Let's all just go for good mammal. Yeah. Okay? That's my target for this.
So when you think of being a good mammal, what comes to mind? Oh. What are the things that pop up in your mind when you hear good mammal?
I think about good mammal, immediately I think of a dog. I like dogs. I think of a good dog. A good dog is kindness. A good dog is kind.
Being kind, empathy.
Sure. How about a good dog takes a nap? A good dog is tired, so a good dog takes a nap.
Reasonable, compassionate, empathy, being close to nature. Love that one.
Close to nature, that's a great one.
Yeah. Loyalty,
sure.
Patient.
Patience is good.
Empathy,
not causing harm. Some mammals will cause some harm, but only to survive.
Going out
or to defend
play.
themselves, right?
Equal respect.
Being helpful.
Having good morals.
Well, these are all great things. I mean, you're already coming with so much more than I'm even expecting to get to, right? These are some high concept things. Some of these things, to be loyal, to be honest, that requires a great deal of intelligence to be able to manifest these things. And so I don't know exactly where all of the mammals are in their cognitive ability, but I do know that we humans are at the top of that evolutionary chain. Okay, so if a dog can do it, we should be able to do it, okay? If a dog is busy and it's running around and it's chasing a squirrel, all right? A dog is trying to play, is playing fetch. It's running all around. When the dog is running all around and making itself tired, it will what? Snooze. Humans, however, if we're running all around and we're doing all these things and we're making ourselves tired, we will not snooze.
Or some will, some won't.
A lot of us won't snooze.
I mean, I might snooze.
You might snooze, but you also might go to 6 different places yesterday and have a super productive day.
I did go to 6 different places yesterday, and I had a super productive day. 6 in a row.
She went to 6 places in a row. She had a very productive day.
I haven't been that productive in years.
And our car is thankful for it because it finally got the love it deserves.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make with this is, at a very basic level, a dog knows when it has got enough energy to run around and when it does not have enough energy and it needs to take a break and sleep. A dog is not worried about, paying its rent and getting a good review at school or having a good interaction with its boss. So we humans have a lot more to manage in our minds than dogs do. But we also could learn a thing from a dog, that when a dog is tired, it takes a nap.
Yeah.
So something we're going to get into, yes, all that, but I want to explain the premise of the thing. The basic idea for today's stream is that we're going to explore understanding emotions. So where we're in a place where I checked in on Twitter and we all just kind of rounded out some of our things. How are we feeling? And a lot of times the answer is, I'm good, or not good, or bad. And in my experience of understanding emotions, if we just say good or bad, there's a lot of room for interpretation.
Or I don't know. Yeah.
For instance. And so if we're trying to help ourselves, or if we're trying to get help from someone else, the more articulate, the more clear, the more specific we can be about our emotions, the more we can find ways to help ourselves, and the more ways other people can be successful when we ask them for help. Okay?
Yeah.
So on today's stream, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the most basic emotions. We're going to go walk it back to preschool
top
days.
6, right?
The big ones.
Top 6.
We're going to go from 6 emotions to 8 emotions to 12 and more and more and more emotions. And hopefully by the end of this will give you some kind of some extra tools. Because if we were in, let's say we were going to go for a flight, Amelia, and I say, come on in, enjoy this hang glider, right? What's a hang glider look like as far as the controls in there?
I mean,
what do you got?
You don't really got much. You just got
You
balance.
have a bar,
yeah,
and you have going this way and going that way. Okay, so this is I'm good, I'm bad, I'm good, I'm bad. Now, that might be enough if all we have to do is go off a ledge and drift over the water or something. That might be enough steering. But if we were going to go to, say, I don't know, a moon of Saturn, and I suggested, hey, let's take a hang glider. You can go like this and you can go like that. How would you all like to get in a hang glider to go to Saturn? No. If I was going to go to Saturn, I would very much like to be in a spaceship with lots of buttons, lots of controls, maneuvers. I can level this up. I can level that down. I can turn the dial. I can beep, 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 beep. There's so many more controls in the spaceship. So the idea is the more descriptive and specific we can get about our emotions, the ones that are going on inside of us or the ones we identify in other people, the more specific controls we have, the more sense of being the captain we have. So I don't want to be in a spaceship going to Saturn's moons with only one control, right? So this is the premise. Now we can do a whole bunch of thank yous and thank yous and thank yous. But sometimes I want to make sure everybody knows what it is we're doing because we're doing a new thing.
Yeah. Magic Flower King, thank you so much for
Hello.
subscribing. And Deviant Connor, welcome back for 3 months.
Welcome. Thank you.
Spicy Ninja is here. Ethereum Dragon is here for 6 months, saying thank you so much for these kinds of streams. It's really important. Feeling grateful to be here.
Grateful to have you here.
Grateful to have you.
Thank you for being here.
Toshter, thank you so much for the cheers. Wanting to remind everyone that whatever you're going through emotionally, emotional support is there and important.
Indeed. I also want to take a second to shout out that Amelia and I are not certified health or mental health professionals. We are not psychologists or therapists or psychiatrists. None of these things are our skills. However, we are actors who spend a lot of time in the periphery of understanding our emotions and getting all into that, okay? I've spent some time in a class called Theater and Therapy, so there are ways that there are different theatrical conventions that are used in therapy and in self-help. So these are all things that Amelia and I are familiar with as tools, but we're not a substitute for therapy.
Yeah.
We are not a substitute for a self-help line. And if you need to call and reach out to people like that, there are lots of them. There's amazing people that have dedicated their life and all of their skills to getting really, really good at that kind of stuff. And we want to learn from those people.
Yes.
So we're here to learn alongside of you.
Be inspired by.
Yeah. But please don't mistake us for therapist or therapy. We are not.
Magnolia Sims, thank you so much for the
Hello. Thank you kindly.
Magnolia.
We offer you a big hug. And Magnolia Sims, I have to say thank you. You and Susie the Nose, a few other folks had gifted some prizes on a previous stream. And let me tell you what, we were a little distracted on our last 2 streams.
Yes.
So we owe some gift prizes to some people. Thank you, Ronef, for reminding everyone that there's a huge list of resources on Discord, even as simple as a breathing exercise. So if you need to calm yourself down, there's this beautiful little GIF. You can breathe with the GIF, and it will help you. So Magnolia Sims, aside from the gift sub love, we'd also like to award, in your goodly name, it looks like 8 I Like Dogs and Deviant sticker combos. So Amelia will help me count down to 8, and we'll pull 8 winners, and then we're going to jump into some emotion charts that I have gathered up here for us. So all you got to do is type a thing in the chat. If you would like to enter to win, all of our subscribers get 5 times entry, and you get both of these stickers. These are our Detroit Become Human ones. They'll be available for about another week. And then we're even thinking about a good Mammal-y one. And then towards the end of the stream, we will ask everybody for your input on what we ought to do and how we can evolve the Good Mammal streams going forward. All right, are you ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Winner number 1 is Ava Sugars. Congratulations, Ava Sugars.
Congratulations.
You're winner number 1, and winner number 2 goes by Linao. Congratulations, Linao. Appreciate you being here.
All of our winners will be getting a whisper from us with instructions on how to claim your prize. Make sure that you put your full address and double check it so that it can get to you.
Please. Okay, Sosmic77. Here you go. Congratulations.
Congrats, Sosmic.
Next up is XFallenX_. Congratulations. Keep them coming here. This one goes to Rposa 201 is a deviant. Knew it. Totally knew it.
Congrats.
I can tell a mile away.
3 more.
Cat Cookie, congratulations. Cat Cookie with K's.
Congrats.
Next up, we have a friend by the name of the M. Zaichan. Congratulations, the M. Zaichan. Excuse my pronunciation. Try my best.
Last one for now.
And last one for now. Thank you again, Magnolia Sims, and apologies that I missed these over the last 2 streams. Mina Zena. Congratulations, Mina Zena.
Congratulations.
Thank you. If you'd like info on that, it's !gift prizes in the chat. We'll get you the deets. We'll take you to dechartgames.com if you'd like to order them while they last. Shall we?
Let's.
Okay, Squiggly Boys back for 29 months. Okay, good. We've got Fute Ballstick is here with their Prime. Wonderful. If y'all have Amazon Prime, you can link it to Twitch for a free scrub with that button down below. !free.
And Acidic, welcome back for 14 months. Deviant Connor, thanks for the gifted sub.
All right. So here's a question. Who knows what IQ stands for? What does IQ mean? If we say Albert Einstein had an incredibly high IQ, right? Or I was talking to this stump over there, and that stump has a really low IQ. It's your intelligence quotient. Quotient?
Quotient, so fancy.
What a word. What is even a quotient? A quotient means we can numerically evaluate it, right? It's giving us a measurable number to go with intelligence. Now, we all know that there's lots of kinds of intelligences, right? There's lots of kind of learning. Some people are really good at learning by listening. That's my type. I'm a sit in the front row and just absorb it all in. Yeah. Some people are really good at learning by writing things down, by doing it themselves with the writing out the problem. Some people are really good at learning if they're doing things physically. If they're up and they're moving around the space, that can be a good way for them to learn.
Or visually.
Right? Some people are very visual. If I just read it out of a book, it might be a lot easier than if I heard someone say it. So we have to acknowledge that we all have different kinds of intelligences. We all have different ways of learning. But there's another thing that is similar to an IQ, and it's called an EQ. Has anyone ever heard of EQ? Or do you want to try to take a guess at what EQ is? If IQ is intelligence quotient, Yeah.
Emotional intelligence.
It's your emotional intelligence. We're measuring our ability to understand emotion. So here it is defined by healthline.com that IQ tests, the IQ tests measure your ability to solve problems, use logic, and grasp or communicate complex ideas. EQ tests measure your ability to recognize emotions in yourself and in others, and to use that awareness to help you guide your decisions. So a lot of us feel like we don't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt the way that you just don't know what to do with yourself? What should I do now? How do I do this life? Help me, adult. Well, we get messages about like that kind of stuff a lot. So if we work on giving ourselves a higher and higher IQ, then we're going to be better and better at solving those kinds of problems.
Solving problems, using logic,
right?
Complex ideas.
Problem solving, our big brain moments, right? But our EQ can be like our big heart brain moment, right? So the focus of Good Mammal is to focus on our emotional health, our emotional intelligence, so that we can communicate. I see some people saying, I'm not emotional at all. And then right down there, I say, I'm too emotional. I want to say that both of those things are judgments on yourself and do not necessarily serve us because they're both inaccurate. You are exactly as emotional as you are. There's not too much emotion and there's not enough emotion. There's understanding emotions. So I think if you feel like you have too many emotions, maybe you have more emotions going on than you're able to describe, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there's more emotion going on than you've ever felt at one time before. So they're all getting kind of blurry and mixed up together.
Yeah. So it's kind of like an emotional capacity in a way. You can't really, having to.
Exactly. Like if I had, if I was wearing binoculars and I was trying to see, okay, what is that thing, that binocular, but my whole field of vision is filled up with emotion that no matter where I'm looking with these binoculars.
It's like when you're playing a game and you put up your sniper,
your scope,
but you haven't found the target yet. And then you're like, trying to find the target, but it's like you have no idea where you're looking in space. And then you have to put the scope down in order to get a sense. Okay, there they are on the horizon.
Right.
Let's aim up and let's get specific.
So the opposite side of that, if you feel like you're someone who's like, I don't feel emotions at all, I feel very closed off emotionally, you might have the opposite thing going on, right? Where your attention is way broad. You're able to look at all of these things, right? Where are my fellow Spocks at? If you're a very logical person, you might say, well, I'm having an emotion, but my emotion is this tiny little part of the picture. And then there's all of this where I'm comfortable, right? In my intelligence, in my IQ, I can go, oh, well, here's a problem and I have to do this and I got to do that. And this person wants me to do this. And here's a little tiny part in there where I'm feeling betrayed, but never mind that. Right?
Yeah.
And so you might feel like your emotions are not part of the equation. So everybody has a different place where they are on this spectrum. They might be someone who feels like there's so many colors, so many emotions, so many things going on that you need to slow it down and find a chance to look at them individually so we can communicate about them,
Mm-hmm.
or the other way around where we feel like everything's in grayscale, but if you look at it a little longer, it starts to get a little more colorful. We can kind of unpack it and open up a little bit.
Yeah,
So be respectful of your own place on that spectrum, but let's start at the very beginning, okay?
It's a very good place to start.
It's a very good place to start. Let's talk about, Amelia and I are about to scoot to the side because we're going to have some pretty big visual aids here, and I'll pull them up here so we can read them better if we need, Amelia. Feel free to take a screenshot, and I can post these things after the stream. Here are our 6 basic types of emotion. Now, different people will use a different 6, and some of these overlap with different things. But based off these 6, let's read them together, Amelia. Tag yourself, team. Shout yourself out. Where are you? Are you a number 1 right now? Are you feeling happiness?
I also love these physicalities.
That's a good one. If you're feeling happiness.
Physicality, yes.
That's a good one.
Happiness.
All right. What's the second one?
Sadness.
Oh, sadness. We know sadness.
Mm-hmm.
So I also want to respect that many of you are, I'm a native English speaker. We're going to speak all in English, and so all these names are in English. But this might also help if you're learning English and want to shout it out. How do we say sadness in your language? Feel free to shout it out. That could be a good way for us all to communicate together. Translate these, transcribe them. Number 3 is fear. Fear is when we're afraid of something. This is really cool to see. Yeah, I know triste is sadness in Spanish. Triste. This is beautiful. How about number 4? What's number 4?
Disgust.
That's the feeling of repulsion of you. I don't want to be by that, right?
Yeah.
If we're playing Resident Evil, we might feel some disgust.
Yeah.
What's number 5?
Anger.
Ooh, anger. Rage, wrath, being mad, right? You want to put effort. You feel like you've rah, 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 rah. Let's keep it real simple for the beginning.
Yeah.
And then number 6 is surprise. Oh my gosh. When our expectation is either way exceeded or something else is happening that completely defies our expectation.
Or takes us by surprise.
Something takes us by surprise.
It kind of jolts us off course.
It can jolt us off course. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is a very, very simple way at looking at emotions, but it's a good way also for us to check in with where the root of the emotion is, because most of our emotions are going to tie back to these 6.
Yeah. So from these 6, it becomes more specific and, more specific.
Should we pull up visual aid number 2? All right, here's visual aid number 2. This is getting a little bit more complicated. So instead of having 6 emotions, we now have 8, I think. Yes, 8 emotions are up here. And these ones are a little bit more subtle from each other. Some of them overlap. They have some similarities. And some of them are, totally new to show us like new colors compared to the ones we had before. So the first one we saw on the other page was happiness. So happiness is a lot like that top one up there, the yellow one. Joy. Right? We're feeling happiness. We love it. We love to feel some joy. And next to joy, 2 sort of related emotions can be anticipation.
You're ready for something.
Yeah, you expect something good is going to happen, but you're not quite yet there in the moment of happiness, of joy.
Like kind of when you're on an airplane or you're traveling somewhere and you're about to get there, but you're not there yet, but you start seeing, we're getting closer. So it's that.
It can be excitement. So anticipation, I think a lot of times we as a society have gotten a little lazy with anticipation and we just go, it's anxiety. No, it can be anxiety, yes, but it could also be excitement. It can be anticipation. It can be the feeling of looking forward to something. So it's amazing how much work you can do on this, and expectation for sure. So Amelia and I as actors spend a lot of time submitting ourselves for a job, right? The practice of being in an audition, it's like going to a job interview, okay?
Yes.
If I say I'm anxious, I have an audition later, the odds of me doing a good job at that audition are pretty low.
Yeah.
If I say I'm excited, I have an audition later, the odds of me doing well at that audition go up the more and more that I believe that. So I really want to share that if you literally use a different word when you describe the way you feel, your brain will start to understand it differently. So if you find yourself always saying, oh, I feel so anxious, I feel so anxious, I feel so anxious, see if there's another word that's similar to it that gives a little bit more detail about it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, anxious is not always negative. That's true.
No.
Anxious could be, oh my gosh, I can't wait until I get home because then I'm going to blank, right? Or I am downloading I'm downloading Diablo 4 right now, and I have anticipation of what it's going to be like as soon as I get to hear those guitar strums when I open up the menu, right?
So Ellen asks, so wait, excitement and anxiety can be the same for anticipation? Yeah, I think so. I think it's just about how are you framing it? What side are you leaning towards? Is it towards a bit of a anger or fear, or is it excitement and joy?
And we see how it's right there between. I mean, anticipation is right between anger and joy on this color wheel, right? We're going to see a whole bunch of different ones. Just to give you an idea, these color wheels, for instance, are made in many different forms. So this is the exact same list of 8 emotions, but it just looks different. Yeah. So we're going to show you a couple of these different ones, but some of them might really help in your brain the way they're laid out. It might make a lot of sense to you, and other ones might be a little bit more confusing. So, but yes, depending on the context, it's really the anticipation has to do with what is your expectation. If I anticipate that something good is about to happen, I might be more calling it excited. But if I am anticipating that something bad is coming, then I might even feel like a kind of guilt.
Yeah.
Right?
Or a dread.
Unnervous.
A dread. For example, when we were flying back from our friend's wedding recently, and our flight got really, really delayed, and we were going to be getting in like early in the morning, and I was so anxious that there was not going to be a car to be able to pick us up. And so I was spending all this time being like, oh no, I have to look it up. Like, what are other people saying about flying in so late? And Brian just kept saying, everything will be fine. Don't worry. You're going to say your husband was right. And finally, after a little while of feeling like I'm not getting any more information about this, with this anxiety about not being able to get home, I let it go. And I said, I believe, I will trust. And then lo and behold, there was a car, and my husband was right.
The lift took us right back where we needed to go.
So I was putting myself in a state of anxiety because I was projecting this whole big, like, bad potential situation that could happen, which hadn't happened and actually didn't happen. So I was making myself suffer for no reason, and I didn't have to do that, but I was choosing to put myself in this mindset of, oh God, we're not going to be able to get home. It's going to be like 4 a.m., blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I think that this one is also where worry lives in anticipation. And it said that if you're spending a lot of time worrying about things, you're suffering twice, and for something that might not even happen. Or catastrophizing is a good way to put it. This is a similar thing where I was saying we can zoom in or we can zoom out, right? Some people are seeing things with lots of information, and some people are very focused on one piece. When I am in a time of emotional upset, or if I'm trying to help someone who's going through an emotional upset, like Amelia being anxious that we wouldn't get a car and we'd be stuck at the airport at 3 a.m. and we'd have to call somebody and wake them up to bring us home and all these things, it starts to spin of like all these bad things that could come from what you're anticipating, the bad, right? Because Amelia had never had the experience of being at the airport at 3 a.m. and then there being a car to take her home. But my point of view was to zoom out a little wider and say, yes, I haven't been at the airport at 3 a.m. You haven't been at the airport at 3 a.m., but someone has. Someone has arrived at the airport at 3 a.m., and we live in a major metropolis, so we can start to use our IQ to help our EQ, where we let our intelligence inform us like, even if there's not a lift, there will be a yellow cab.
Yeah.
There will be a car service. It might cost more, but we can eventually get home. let's keep moving around the circle, right?
Okay.
So for me personally, I kind of like this
I
one
like that one
visually
better,
a little
yeah.
better, but they're basically the same thing. Isn't that being optimistic then? Yeah, and I'll tell you what, being optimistic has led to most of the good things that have happened in my life. And you got two choices. You can either be optimistic or pessimistic in a situation where you're allowing your value judgment to play into your expectation, right? If you're optimistic and you're right, that's awesome. You get like super awesome mojo bonus power. If you're optimistic and it turns out that you're correct, great. That's really good. You can use that. That gives you a lot of mojo. If you're optimistic and you're wrong, well, at least it got me here with like a smile on my face, and now I'm going to have to figure it out.
Yeah.
If you're pessimistic and you're right, that double sucks because you're like, this is going to be bad. And look, see, it was bad. And a lot of times it ends up being worse because you expect it to be bad, right? And if you are pessimistic and you're wrong, usually you're robbing yourself of the enjoyment of the thing that turned out to be a positive.
Good, yeah.
So in my understanding, your options between being pessimistic and optimistic, if you choose optimistic, then the worst of the four outcomes is like, okay. But if you're pessimistic, then 3 out of the 4 options are not great.
Yeah,
so the general blip for if you're in a position where your point of view about the thing and your optimism can help you, even if you don't believe it at first. That's a lot of what I'm going to talk about. Even if you don't believe it at first, you will eventually build up your ability to be more and more optimistic. The realistic, I'm a realist thing is a lot like going with IQ over EQ. And we say, oh, well, this is all the information, so I intelligently understand why it's realistic to have these kind of expectations. So that I think realism is like bailing on the EQ thing and going over into the IQ category.
Interesting.
So here we have anger, which is one we saw on the other page, and also disgust was repeated, which actually was surprising to me. I didn't think of disgust as like a basic emotion, but if you're a mammal, think about a dog. A dog could be disgusted by a dog's like, I'm not going to eat that food. No way. Yeah. You know, that's old. That's been out for too long. How about sadness? Right? A dog can feel sadness. We know sadness.
Yeah.
A dog could be surprised.
A bone?
A bone? Or have you seen the magic tricks that they show monkeys at the zoo? I've seen some monkeys like see a coin disappear.
These kinds of things.
And they cannot believe. yeah. And the dog cannot deal with it. What has happened, right? So surprise is a very basic emotion, right? Squirrel, ball. Fear. Of course a dog could be afraid. Anyone who's ever adopted a dog or visited a dog from like the Pound or the Humane Society, sometimes it takes a long time to work over things that we were afraid of.
Yeah.
And similarly, moving back around and towards joy is this emotion of trust.
Of feeling safe.
Of feeling confident, of feeling like if I express myself that's going to be well received and heard and not just shut down. So cats, I feel like, are a big trust category. Our cat Theo, there's like 2 people besides me and Amelia that he will get real close to.
Yeah.
And everybody else, he's real side-eye, real skeptical. He's going to hang back and watch you from the doorway, kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
So these are another set of emotions, and they get a little bit more complicated. And as I mentioned, there's other ways of looking at them. There's, if you Google, wheel of emotions or basic emotions, you're going to find different versions of these. I like this one. This is a nice one, has the faces to go with it. These are the main 8 that we just read through: joy, anticipation, anger, disgust, sadness, surprise, fear, and trust. This one's cute. This one looks like I might see it when I go to the doctor. I can point to which one I'm feeling. But you know those charts when you go to the doctor where it says how bad does it hurt? Have you ever seen those ones? Yeah. It's like a scale, right? On a scale of 1 to 10. And so if you go to the ER and you have a wound, right? Let's say you fell out of, when I was a kid, I fell out of a wagon and I broke my collarbone. And so I had to explain to the doctor basically, how did I feel? And I was like, well, it hurts. Well, it hurts doesn't really help the doctor because he can't see anything, right? But if I could say it's a sharp pain and it's like a 9, and a 10 would be like the most pain I could imagine. So now I'm telling the doctor the level of the pain and the kind of pain, right? So if I go to a therapist, or if I go to my romantic partner, or if I'm going to my boss or to my friend, to my parents, and I want to communicate what kind of pain I'm in, I have some options here, right? I could say it's a hot kind of a pain. It makes me feel red and my temperature is rising and I'm getting tense, right? Those might be some indicators that the way I'm feeling is anger. However, similar things are happening. I'm getting tense if I'm disgusted by something, right? But I don't have that kind of heat feeling. I have a kind of uneasy feeling. I feel kind of queasy, right? If I'm describing to someone that I am feeling tense and only tense, then they could say, well, maybe he's feeling angry. Maybe he's feeling disgust. Which other one
or
up here?
Fear.
Fear also makes me feel tense.
Yeah, fear
right?
makes me feel tense for sure.
But if I add other descriptors to it, I can start to narrow it down. I'm feeling tense and I'm feeling shaky and I'm feeling like I don't have enough breath in me and I'm feeling like I'm watching over my shoulder. Now I've started to describe all these things and I can narrow down that it's probably not anger, it's probably not disgust, it's probably fear that I'm describing. So the goal here is that when we want to communicate the way we're feeling, we can help ourselves understand it and other people understand it.
Yeah.
So let's get a little bit more detailed, and these ones are pretty cool. This is the same situation, but they have changed the main core words here a little bit, okay? So where there used to be sadness, this one uses grief in the very center. And you see the most saturated center part of this color wheel. These are like the if you turned the amp to 11, if you turned the heater all the way up on these things, you'd be feeling grief. And then in the second ring outside, we recognize these other emotions that we started with here, right? So they've moved, they've rotated the wheel, but we still have in the second ring of the tree going out, we have anger, anticipation, joy, trust, fear, surprise, sadness, and disgust.
Yeah.
But going into the center, we feel like the hot version of that. If I'm angry, that's one thing. But if I'm in a rage,
that's next level.
Where are my barbarians? What happens when you go into a rage, Amelia?
You black out.
You black out,
Which
and
is true.
And you're doing extra attacks, right? You're doing more damage. Bam, 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 bam.
When you're so angry, you can't really see straight. Essentially, it's you're blinded by rage. They use that term, because it's an accurate description. And then after you're doing extra damage, and then afterwards you're like, oh shit, what did I do?
Right. So after you came out of a rage, and we're now going to work towards going to the outside from center point out, or I guess from center point out, after you're done with the rage, your rage might be over. You might be able to see again. You put down your battle axe, right? But now you're still angry. Yeah. You're still mad that you had to go fight that beast or whatever. You're not thinking clearly. Your pulse is going up. You might be hyperventilating, or you might be like kind of unclear, kind of feeling foggy. But after time goes by and you spend more time and you've moved away from the battlefield, and now your party has gone to take a short rest and you've maybe had some time to lick your wounds, your point of view about the anger is going to taper off, and it's going to turn into something that's more of an annoyance, right? Or a discomfort, something that is like, when
frustration.
Right. And so when Arya Stark goes to bed and lists all of the names of the people she's coming after, that's motivated by rage. It's a version of anger, but she's just about to fall asleep. So she's actually experiencing more of a level of annoyance or a grudge, right? You have this like a thorn in your side or a splinter in your hand or something. Yeah. So similarly, we can take these and dial them all up. There's the disgust in the middle becomes loathing, where it's like not only like
are you disgusted by it, but you like loathe it.
You loathe it.
Deep hate.
So like boredom would be like if you show me broccoli, I'm like I don't want it. I'm bored of. I know it doesn't do anything for me. It just is kind of like a nothingness. Ugh, you know. Disgust would be if they're like, guess what? You're getting for dinner only broccoli today. And then I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, it's like really broccoli. And I'm like, ew, I don't want to eat all of that broccoli. That's my whole meal. This is for me. You can like broccoli. That's fine. But in the middle, loathing would be like if I got food poisoning from a certain kind of food and now it's like off of my list.
Yeah.
I will never, ever, ever, I'm never drinking rum again or whatever the thing is. Your body tells you loathe this thing. And this can be true of not just food, but of course situations or experiences with people. Yeah. Sadness is one we all can understand. But going in towards the middle, that deepest version of sadness is grief. That's the kind of sadness we have when we experience great loss. Yeah. If we are having maybe another thing and another thing, like compounded sadness could feel like, oh, I got evicted and I lost my job and my dog is sick. Like this kind of thing, you can get into a place of despair, which is even further past grief. And then coming back out to the lighter side of sadness, we have pensiveness. What is pensiveness, Amelia? When are you pensive?
Pensive is when you're I feel like when you're thinking about something and you're in your head about it and you're thinking about pensive. You're thinking about something, but you're not unsure. You're feeling like unsettled about it.
Right. You have the sadness that's alive in you, but maybe it's not active. Not now, Max. I'm contemplating shit.
Exactly.
Right. You're in that mode of something has got your attention, and it's a more dissipated version of that sadness. Let's go through the other ones a little more quickly.
Kenny, yes. I would say grief is like it would be equivalent to when you lost somebody or someone that you.
Yes, of course. Grief can even be experienced for like versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Or like a dream maybe that is not coming to an end, or a chapter that's coming to an end of like moving away or selling a childhood house or an
example I think of in the movie Little Miss Sunshine, right? When the brother, like he's always wanted to be a pilot and then he finds out or realizes that he's colorblind. And it's the loss of this idea for himself. And so you can have a lot of grief without physically losing something or someone, but the idea of something can cause us grief.
Yeah.
Moving into some brighter emotion here, this is surprise. So surprise at its fullest, what is that one, Amelia? Amazement!
Just so mind blown.
Yo, surprise to amazement is like when someone gives the huge gift sub group hug and it blows my mind and the chat is going crazy, or we finally beat the boss fight, right? And you got to hang upside down from the ceiling. That's amazement, right?
Yeah.
And then after that kind of wears off a little bit, or a lighter version of that is surprise, and it could be even more like a distraction.
Where you're not focused on what's happening in the moment anymore. You're still just kind of reliving
your attention,
like basking in that.
Yeah, your attention is in other
elsewhere,
places. And then the next one is fear, right? Fear. When we play a scary game together, there's a lot of fear. And we're in this state of, I hope this doesn't get worse, right? Yeah. Fear is like,
oh God, what's around the corner?
Yeah, this is not going well, but it could go worse. But then when you get to terror's like, it can't get any worse. This is the giant monster that's come out from under the bed, or the thing that pops through the water and really terrifies you. Terror is the spookiest part of fear, right? The most visceral part of fear. Of it. And then moving out from fear, you don't like to feel fear. I don't like to feel fear either. A lot of us don't like that. So as fear is kind of dissipating and going away, what is that?
Apprehension.
How do we call apprehension?
Like a cautious. Cautious is another word I would describe apprehension, where you have a guard up, but it's not like, don't come through. It's a smaller guard, but you're
caution.
cautious.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing caution. I think that the apprehension thing is the expectation of fear. You know, so when you walk into an environment in The Last of Us and you hear, and you're like, okay, I'm pretty sure I just heard a clicker, and this is the kind of environment where clickers are. This is, I feel apprehensive that if I go any deeper into this dark tunnel, it's going to go into fear. And if I go all the way in, it's going to go to terror.
Yeah.
So the reason why these discovering these kind of depths or these degrees of the emotion is good is because sometimes if we don't have the words to call it, we'll say, I am afraid, right?
Yeah.
But really what you mean is you're apprehensive. You feel nervous about the idea that this could be a scary situation for you. But if you jump to naming it fear, then your brain and your body start to experience the fear response when really you're in an anticipation or an apprehension kind of a feeling. Does that make sense? You wouldn't, if you were like, I don't know, I don't know if I studied well enough for my test. That's a different feeling than I am in abject terror of my entire academic life falling apart, right?
Like if I fail this test, I have to repeat the grade. That's more like terror.
Exactly. And so if we acknowledge where we are on these gradients, on these spectrums, then we can take some ownership and some control on there. What things can I do to protect myself against terror, against fear, and to just stay, okay, well, I'm feeling apprehensive, but there's some things that I can do to, you know, make sure that I'm walking on thin ice, but I'll be careful, right? You guys, you get what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So in the next one of trust, this is another one that we don't want. You measure your degrees of trust. If I am with Amelia, who I trust implicitly, I trust Amelia with my life. I do. I trust Amelia so much that I could call it admiration. I admire Amelia. That means I see so much of myself in Amelia that I trust Amelia as if I trust myself. So we might have admiration for, it's true. We might have admiration for a spiritual leader, for a teacher, for a parent or a family member.
Someone that
for
we
a partner.
look up to.
Right. And then
friend.
A friend. You can have deep admiration for a friend, you know?
Yeah.
So, admiration is a level of trust that goes beyond your basic needs. So if trust, for instance, if I look at two people, okay, let's just say we went to Comic-Con, okay? And we went to Comic-Con and we met someone at the event for the first day. We met person A and person B. One of the persons A was giving me kind of Zlatko-y vibes.
Okay.
One of the person B was giving me Luther-y kind of vibes.
Okay.
And I'm just like, you know what? I just trust this Luther guy more. He's speaking to me directly. He's calm. He seems to be listening to my needs and wants. Zlatko is talking over me. He's making assumptions. He's
eye contact.
His eye contact is all over the place. He seems preoccupied. So my level of trust is, in a basic way, how do I think my basic needs, my safety, my shelter, right? Me being fed and watered, which of these things are more satisfied? But when we come into admiration, it takes a while. Let's take Zlatko out of the equation. Now we have just our Luther. Luther's relationship, or Hank's relationship to Connor, or Luther to whatever, to Carl and Marcus. There's other characters in the story that their relationship can grow and change. And so if Luther and Kara have enough shared experiences,
enough trust with each other,
and they have enough trust taking care of little one, Alice, then it can grow to admiration. And that's where it says like family unlocked, right? Or Hank and Connor become the detective partners, they're no longer just working together, but they really respect each other and they admire each other. So this, admiration has a level of, would you say also admiration is an offset of respect too? Yeah, I do think that respect comes from, you're dealing with more than your basic needs.
Yeah.
When it comes to admiration, do I trust a pastor or a rabbi or a monk, yeah, I trust them. But also, I can admire them if I believe that they are looking out for not just my basic needs, but also my spiritual needs, my emotional needs. Does this make sense? Like, we're giving over more to them in a way. And then further back is acceptance, right? Mm-hmm. So it could be like, these are acquaintances. These are people that we things and situations that we're just all right with. We're like,
I feel accepted here, but it's not necessarily a full level of trust. It's,
right.
It's feeling like you belong, but not quite all the way there.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And then in the middle, let's talk about joy. Joy at its best is ecstasy, and it's a lot like rage, but in the other way. Ecstasy is a little bit of being blinded by your happiness. You just cannot believe it. And if you are with someone, when they receive good news, I'll tell you, this might be the best part of life.
Oh, yeah.
If you can be with someone and they tell you the story of how they got engaged, or when they found out they were pregnant, or if they got a big job opportunity, or they got into school. Mm-hmm. These are the things we love to watch on a Instagram or TikTok video of somebody receiving great news.
Or also, if you receive that great news, it's like this, I can't believe this is happening. Am I dreaming? Like, someone pinch me.
Kind of surreal, right?
That's ecstasy.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. And so then there's this idea of anticipation. Mm-hmm. And anticipation, I believe this one is about our attention. Mm. So vigilance, the hyper-focused anticipation, your attention is all really on something. If you're being vigilant, maybe you're really studying for an exam at the very end, right? Or if you've dedicated your life to something and you wake up every morning and you go on the run, and then you go and you have your after workout routine and stuff, you do your stretching. This is happening day after day after day. That's someone who's being constantly vigilant.
Vigilant, yeah. You're on something.
Following your way back out of that, and the lighter version of anticipation is that it has your interest, right? And so if something has your interest, it's going to keep your focus a little bit longer than the other things. Yeah. What is the link between vigilance and optimism? Interesting. I think that when it comes to vigilance and optimism, I think it probably has to do with your past experiences. And so it makes you, and this, like, vigilance and, anticipation and trust, or admiration and vigilance, are on either side of joy and ecstasy up at the top. I think if you've done something that for instance, you've never been in a play before, okay? And you're going to go on, you're standing backstage and you're going to walk on stage for the first time. You may have a very nervous experience. You might have an angry experience. You might not trust this experience. You could have a fearful experience. There's lots of ways these things can overlap. But if you went on stage for the first time and everyone was like, yay, what a wonderful song. Thank you for singing for us, right? Mm-hmm. The next time you went to go on stage, you would have a little more likelihood to be feeling anticipation towards joy, right? Towards ecstasy. And so we build up these kind of expectations through our past learned experiences and from what people have told us. So you might be very optimistic about your ability as a singer, but you would not be optimistic about your ability as a tightrope walker, for instance, right?
I also had the thought that connecting optimism or pessimism with vigilance and anticipation and interest, it could be also, what is your point of view about the thing that you're being vigilant about? Are you being vigilant about something because you're afraid, or because you have a negative point of view? So you're going to be like prepping for end of the world, if you're like constantly focusing on having to get everything right in the bunker because any minute something awful might happen? Or are you being really vigilant to work on your mental health? Or are you like doing every single morning? Are you journaling to help yourself? It's like, what are you being vigilant for? What's the purpose of the vigilance? Mm-hmm.
Indeed. I see some of you asking about the colors. I think these colors are these colors used by this artist to make this thing. So you could totally make your own version of this and change the colors out if different colors associate to you in different ways.
Yeah.
I see we're at the top of the hour. Do you need a break or
Yeah.
should we take 5?
Yeah, quick little hydration break.
All right, I think we're gonna take 5. We're on slide 5 of 9. So I'm very excited to take this going forward.
Yeah.
Let's all take 5 minutes because taking care of ourselves is a good way we can be good mammals. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Get yourself some hydration. Get a snack if you need some medicine or to get some movement in, to get some fresh air. We're going to see you all in 5 minutes. And if you'd like to retweet to invite your friends, please do. Here's our upcoming schedule. We'll see you in 5. Click. Emotions. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Good Mammal.
Good Mammal.
Where we are understanding our emotions a little more and more every day. And this is a constant journey. So you will not arrive at complete understanding right away.
No.
It will take you your whole life.
Yes.
So be gentle with yourself in your pursuit of understanding your emotions, because the more gentle with ourselves we are, the greater chance of success we have in understanding them.
Yep.
Shani Spilks Photography. Thank you for this gifted sub.
Thank you
Love.
very much.
We appreciate you kindly. Green Panther's back for 7 months. Fearless Geek is back for 37. Little Rosette for 5. Hello. And Dawn Null Lawn, thank you for the gift sub to My Good Opinion. Welcome back for 3 months, my friend.
Ooh, I see Awesome Jedi is here for 50 months.
I love it. I love that for
back.
you. Thank you, Awesome Jedi. And Zero Messiah back for 21 months.
Yes.
Hello. We do have some prizes from some previous streams. Our friend who goes by the name of Susie the Nose. Susie the Nose did gift 2 double gift prize packages. So let's pull 2 winners like this.
Okay.
And then we'll jump back into our Understanding Emotions color wheel chart. How does it work? Just type a thing in the chat and you are entered to win. And thank you, Susie the Nose, for hooking us up. We're going to pull 2 winners right about now.
The funk's your brother. Check it out now.
Here we go. It's Daydreamer0126. Congratulations, Daydreamer. I have sent you a whisper with instructions on how to claim your prize. And then let's see if we can pull another one. Another one for Ruse Panda. Ruse, enjoy your panda. Thanks for being here. If you got a whisper from me, if you won, you got a whisper from me upper right-hand corner. And if you won anything over the Detroit Become Human weekend celebration, I am going to be spending most of the rest of the day packing up mail and envelopes and stuff. So thank you for your patience. It may take up to a month for it to arrive around the world. If you won previous stream prizes, you are eligible each time we change the prize.
Yeah, so
pretty
new
much,
prize,
pretty much each month.
fresh eligibility.
That's right.
Yeah. Hey, Spicy Ninja, welcome back for 7 months. And Caro Star, welcome back for 5.
Welcome
Great to
back.
see you.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
So, as a speed run to catch everybody up to speed where we are, we talked about how we have an IQ, which is our emotional quotient, our ability to problem solve and use the old brain for figuring things out, learning, thinking, and knowledge. And then we got our EQ, our emotional intelligence, our ability to understand emotions. So we started with the broad ones, the basics: happiness, sadness, fear, disgust, anger, and surprise. And then we let them get a little bit more nuanced. Instead of 6, let's add 8. So we're seeing how there's some kind of degrees of gradient, hues, colors in between colors when it comes to describing our emotions. And these things are not necessarily completely exclusive to one another. They kind of coexist.
They can blend, yeah.
They mingle together. So if you ever feel like it's hard to explain it, that's okay. That's how it is for a lot of these emotions. The diagrams look different. They're not all the same, but as you see, they are the same number, the same words, the same emotions described, even though the chart is different. And it's possible that your emotions might be going from one to another. You might be pinging and ponging back and forth. Sometimes the ones that we go back and forth between are very similar, like disgust and sadness, disgust and sadness, disgust and sadness. If you're talking to someone about a tragic experience that they went through and they're telling you some of their trauma, you might feel disgusted, but you might also feel very sad for them. You might even
anger,
you might have some surprise about that. You might feel angry about that, right? So our emotions can swing around in these categories. Sometimes they even ping pong across the wheel But those are for days where we have a lot going on, where we get great news and then we get horrible news. Then we get great news. I don't know if you've seen Squid Games. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to, but if you have seen it, the main character in that goes from winning to losing to winning to losing to winning in lots of big and small ways. Yeah. And life can be like that sometimes.
It can.
So then we moved into this wheel where we had not just the different emotions in their different categories, but we have the degrees of them. So if I tell the doctor I'm feeling a blunt pain in my shoulder, it's like a 5. That means that I could experience pain that was more and I could experience pain that's less. If I said I'm experiencing a blunt pain in my shoulder, but it's at a 9, the doctor knows what degree, what intensity I am feeling this kind of pain or this kind of emotion. So too, we can describe them here. This one is interesting because we take the same color wheel that we had, but now we're highlighting the sections in between.
Yeah.
The space between spaces for my Kingdom of the Crystal Skull friends. In between, these are kind of regions of feeling. So let's pick 2. Pick 2. What are 2 that you are feeling today, Amelia?
I am feeling probably some anticipation. So vigilance.
Okay.
You know, I'm feeling vigilance.
Is it more towards the side of serenity or is it more towards the side of anger?
More towards the side of serenity. I'm trying to keep it there because it could go either way.
So let's enhance. Let's zoom in on that section here between those two. Between those two feelings of anticipation and joy, we have serenity plus interest. This is called optimism. So optimism is in that section between, right?
Yeah.
If we go across the spectrum here to some other feelings, between surprise and sadness, we might have disapproval. Between sadness and disgust, we might have remorse. Between fear and surprise, we have awe. Between trust and fear, we have submission. So a feeling of giving up.
Yeah, giving up.
Between joy and trust, we have love. We love that.
Love.
Between anticipation and anger, we have aggressiveness. So your expectation is that things are going to be bad. This is a bitey dog is a bitey dog because they've lived a bitey dog's life. And disgust and anger can be contempt. If something is so vile to you, you have contempt for it. This is hatred.
Yeah.
This is like a place in between. So I think that it is possible that a good way to look at this would be that the bright colored sections of this pinwheel are the emotions that we feel in a given moment. These are like when the light ding, ding, ding lights up and we go, oh, I can name that one. But the ones in between are a little bit more of like the kind of the weather, you know, the mood of how it is. And so sometimes I think we can, if we spend too much time or a lot of time with one of these emotional sections, then our default changes. So we were talking about optimism and pessimism earlier, and I think maybe I have done a lot of work in my life to anticipate good things are happening. I do spend a lot of my energy fostering and creating space for joy and serenity. These are contentment, right? So if optimism comes more naturally to me, I'm not surprised because I spend a lot of time in the 2 sections of the pinwheel on either side of optimism. But if you're someone who says, oh, I hate this, I hate that, I hate this, I hate that, and you're often naming the inconveniences that come at you, you might be spending a lot of time with anger and disgust. And so I think our default emotion, our kind of baseline, our sort of water level for where we are emotionally can be influenced strongly by which of these areas we've been on the pinwheel more recently. If I just had some really bad news come my way and I'm feeling surprised by bad news that's also making me sad, right?
Yeah.
Or if the bad news is making me fearful, then I might be living more in a default zone of being in awe, like the world is too big to understand, I don't get it, or in disapproval. All the things in life that I can understand, I don't like. Everything seems bad. And if we don't acknowledge that these spaces in between our emotions are temporary, we get stuck. Say that with me again, team. If we don't acknowledge where we are on this emotional pinwheel and we just kind of like leave that work for later, we get stuck there. And I think sometimes when we're experiencing things like depression or we're feeling a feeling of hopelessness or being lost, we get stuck in these situations that we then convince ourselves are everything. Well,
permanent.
Permanent. The last 5 things I felt made me feel angry and disgusted, so I hate those things. I'm contempt of those things. I'm in contempt. And then your expectation, the next thing comes up. Well, I'm a smart person. The last 3 things were bad. The next thing's probably going to be bad because humans like to recognize patterns. Mm-hmm. It's one of the things that makes us better at cognition than all the other mammals. So we're the better mammals for our ability to find patterns. But we can also lie to ourselves because if we flip a coin and it's heads, we flip a coin again and it's heads, we flip a coin again and it's heads, we might say, well, it was just heads 3 times in a row. I'm going to flip a coin. If I flip a coin the 4th time, what are the odds that the coin flips up to heads?
50-50.
50-50. Every single time it's 50-50. But if it was just heads, let me guess, this one's going to be heads, right? That's pessimism where it comes in for you. Heads, you go, see, my worldview of everything being this way is right. And then you get stuck in it further. But if you're going, well, it could always be in the moment, it has permission to change. Just because yesterday was shitty and the day before that was shitty doesn't mean that tomorrow and today have to be shitty. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. We have to give each day permission to be its own thing on this color wheel. And once we get good at that, we can let each hour be its own thing. And once we get good at that, we can let each moment become its own thing. Yeah. And that's when we have the really good streams where we have something that scares us and then something that makes us laugh and then something that makes us really, really happy because we beat the boss fight and then we can't beat this next part of the boss fight. Oh, we're starting to go into despair, right? We could experience all of these feelings in one stream, let alone one day or one life, okay? So I just want to give you all power over the fact that just because yesterday was a fearful day and the day before that was a fearful day and the day before that was a surprising day, there's no rules that say that that is going to be the continued case for forever. That's a pattern we decide to recognize, even if it's not actually a pattern. Or we can create patterns out of our expectation. Because if I go, oh man, today's going to be such a shitty day, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. I promise you from lived experience, if you expect a positive outcome, you will get a more positive outcome. If you expect a negative outcome, you will get a more negative outcome. You can't control the universe, but you can definitely control your point of view about it. Yes. So now let's move on just a little bit more detail. Robotic Orchids, welcome back for 17 months.
Welcome back. And Regios, thanks for being here and subscribing. And Kinder, PP, welcome back for 8 months. Yes.
So this one I think is pretty helpful because it helps us go back to that place in the beginning where I said, how are you? If I say, what's up? People say, I'm good or I'm bad. Things aren't good, right? That is very binary. All right, and I know I'm talking to a crew that understands that nothing in life is completely binary. There's always some degrees here. So we have comfortable emotions and uncomfortable emotions. Amelia, you're on the comfortable emotion side. Can you give me the inner ring of the comfortable emotions?
All right, on the comfortable emotions, we have happy, loved, confident, and playful.
Sweet. So if I'm feeling playful and someone says, how you feeling? And I say, good, I'm not wrong, but I'm also not including that I'm feeling playful. Mm-hmm. And they would feel very different about hanging out with me if I'm feeling playful because they'll say, you want to play a game? What should we do? Let's go run around. If I'm saying that I'm feeling loved, I'm also feeling good, but it's a very different kind of a communication, right? Mm-hmm. Now on this other side, these are the uncomfortable emotions according to this wheel. There's sadness, there's being scared, there's being angry, and there's being embarrassed. So if I'm saying I feel bad, that doesn't help Amelia understand me, does it?
Not really.
Not really. It tells her that I'm not feeling happy, that I might not be feeling loved, confident, and I'm probably not feeling playful. But she is given a lot more information if I communicate with her as my teacher, my parent, my friend, my partner, my whoever. If I say, Amelia, today I'm feeling scared. So Amelia knows if I'm feeling scared, there are certain ways she can interact with me that will be more useful to me than if I just say, oh, I'm feeling bad. And if I just say I'm feeling bad, she could assume that I'm feeling sad, right?
Yeah.
And so if she's assuming that I feel sad, and so she's telling me things to work against my sadness, they might actually make me more fearful, right?
Yeah.
Because she's not addressing the way I feel. But I didn't tell her how I'm feeling. I just said I was feeling bad. And now she's trying to cure me for sadness when really I am suffering from scaredness or being afraid. So if you go to the doctor and the doctor says, what's the trouble? And you say, well, I feel bad in the middle. He's going to say, oh, okay, well then here, take some Tums for your indigestion. It sounds like you have an upset stomach, right? Yeah. But really what you're talking about is your lungs, which are close to your stomach, but you're having a difficult time breathing. No matter how many Tums you are given or how many prescriptions you're given for your stomach ache, it's not going to do you any good for your lungs or for your breathing. So if we can tell the doctor, I'm not feeling good, I'm feeling bad in the middle, he goes, be more specific. I say, I'm having a hard time getting a full breath. You know, he's going to be looking for different things. The doctor is going to prescribe me an inhaler instead of something for my indigestion.
Yeah.
And so too, we can get even more detailed, which is really interesting on this wheel.
So I want to look at each of these different denominators. So if you're feeling happy, there's different things that could be making you feel happy. You could be feeling caring, grateful, excited. I definitely am feeling grateful today.
Yeah, is that your one? All right, so in the category of happy, and if you're not feeling it right now, that's fine, but you can shout out the more recent time. The last time you felt pretty happy, were you feeling like you were happy in a caring way? Were you happy in a grateful way? Or were you happy in an excited way? I think that the most recent flavor of happiness that I had was excited. I was feeling very excited, but I guess I'm also feeling caring. I mean, this is a caring kind of a stream, right? So you can feel multiple of those and still be in the category of happiness.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to get more and more specific exclusively, but these more detailed ones on the outside can help us ping down what it is that we mean. Because if I look on this side of the window here by the side of the window, Frosty Aussie,
Hey,
thank you for the love. Give us a hug then, friend. Thank you, Frosty Aussie.
Thank you.
Thank you for the gift sub love. Let's say I'm over here and I've been up late and I've been studying and I don't want to do this anymore. So I'm feeling bad, right? I'm on my side of the wheel over here. I'm feeling bad. But I'm really feeling overwhelmed because I've been studying so much. I don't know if I'm ever going to learn this stuff, if I'm going to get it in time for the test. I'm feeling scared that my future might have some negative consequence because I'm too overwhelmed with information while studying.
Yeah.
Or I could be bored, which is right next to this overwhelm. And this bored feeling, I've been doing the same thing all day. I sat here all night reading the same index cards, looking at my same notes over and over and over again. If I try to treat these two things differently, right? If I can acknowledge, yeah, you know what? I'm not really feeling that overwhelmed. I'm really mostly just bored. Then the thing I can do to help myself not feel bored is what? You all know this. It's obvious. Do something different. Change it up. Mix it up. Go take for a walk. Play. Go to the other side of the wheel for a while, right? But if I'm feeling overwhelmed and I use the correction or the solution against boredom, I'm just going to feel more overwhelmed. I'm going to go, I feel so overwhelmed and now you're telling me to go for a walk? I don't have time to go for a walk. How can I go for a walk? I feel so overwhelmed. So if we can articulate which of these two, then we can get very specific about what it is that we are going to do to correct it. Does that make sense? And if I wanted to explain myself to someone, I'd do better by saying overwhelmed, but I could at least say, I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling scared I'm going to fail this test, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm feeling bored. I'm actually feeling angry that I have to spend so much time focused on my schoolwork when all I want to do is play Diablo 4. Right?
Yeah.
I see Punch Suka has a question about, do you think the chart implies uncomfortable and comfortable emotions can be different for different people? i.e., is it possible to be comfortable with anger? I do think that different people have different levels of comfort with different emotions. But I think what that really means by comfort, I think you have more EQ, more emotional intelligence for describing the different flavors of them. So I think someone who is, let's say, more comfortable with emotions that are angry, I don't think that means that being angry makes them more comfortable. I think that's still an uncomfortable emotion for everyone.
Yeah.
I think fear, embarrassment, sadness, and anger are all less than desirable. You wouldn't wake up in the morning and go, I hope today's an embarrassing day, right? You're not going to say that.
No.
But you might say, hey, today I'm feeling confident, right? But I do think that when you say I have more comfort with being angry, you might actually have a higher emotional understanding of anger.
Yeah.
So you might
where
someone
it's coming from.
right. You might be someone who's like, oh, I know I'm annoyed right now. That is really irking me, gets under my skin. Or you can tell the difference between I'm jealous of that person or I'm bored of my own life. They could both be triggered by the same moment. You know, somebody drives by in a really cool convertible and you're like, oh, I wish I had that, right? That could be jealousy versus when you get into your car and you're like, this car bores me, right? Those are two different versions, but you could be more comfortable and better to explain the different ones. So I see people saying that they feel more comfortable with some of these other emotions, but I do want to give you the reminder that, you know, that repetition, just because we've experienced certain emotions a lot, doesn't mean that that is like your baseline default. Your baseline default is always up for grabs, and your brain is the most powerful thing you have when it comes to kind of resetting the scale each time.
Well, also thinking about, you know, all those experiments that people have done with giving placebo medicine to people,
Right.
Where some people are getting a medicine for headaches and some people are getting a placebo medicine for headaches, and just the act of taking something, even if it is not doing anything, if you think that it's having the effect of taking away your headache, then it can leave, you know? So the placebo effect of thinking makes it so.
Right. And the placebo effect of positive self-talk, right? So I saw a bunch of reactions of, whoa, that's a lot, right? So here was our previous wheel. Okay. And we started off with these 6 humble emotions, these very, very basic ones. So as it gets a little more detailed, you see there's another ring added. So here we have the innermost ring of it being comfortable and uncomfortable. Then we have our base emotions, which are really more similar to this one. And then we're allowing another ring. So I actually have to zoom in on this one because it's pretty huge. Here, I'm going to zoom it in on here too, so you all can see it, right? But let's take one in particular, Amelia. Let's go with fear. Okay, we haven't been talking about fear.
All right.
So in the fear part of the pinwheel, it breaks down into a first degree of.
Okay, first degree of cautious, weak, scared, anxious, nervous, and worried.
Whoa. All right. So the last time you felt afraid, you don't have to be feeling afraid right now, but let's talk about the last time we felt afraid. What first degree division was it there from fear?
It was probably anxious and nervous. Yeah. Anxious, nervous.
Anxious or nervous? All right. So if you were feeling a type of fear that
probably anxious.
Anxious
honestly,
and nervous? Okay. So let's enhance even more into anxious and nervous. Was your anxiousness dread or was it panicky? Was it like a a long, slow kind of anxious, or was it like a heightened kind of anxious?
It was a long, slow anxious. It was dread.
It was dread?
Yeah.
So it wasn't, when it was nervousness, you also said it was anxious and nervous. Were you feeling threatened or uneasy?
More uneasy, but I think if I get more specific, it was dread.
It was dread.
Of being stranded at the airport.
Dread of being stranded at the airport. So can you imagine how much more helpful it is for Amelia to say, I dread the idea of being stuck at the airport at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
That's a dreadful thing. It's right next to terrified, in fact, right? But if Amelia is having a dreadful feeling, and I mistake her saying I'm fearful for her being timid. Timid, I might be like, oh, come on, get out of your shell, right? I might be trying to like give her extra confidence. And if I'm pouring confidence onto her, thinking she's feeling cautious, it's not really going to help her with her dread.
No.
Does that make sense?
Well, also, this is very interesting because it helps me to understand like what's going on with my fear more in different circumstances, because I, up until this moment, I didn't quite understand like what was happening to me when I was having my like panic essentially about our travel being so delayed.
Right.
And now after looking at all of these different options, I see specifically it was this dread that was from the anxiety of the fear.
Right.
So it's like just, yeah, this is
so we get
cool.
more and more and more specific. So this one is from leadskill.com, but there's a bunch of different wheels. And this one, in fact, is my very favorite. I think this one is beautiful. It also kind of covers that description of the space between spaces that are going around the outside of the wheel. I will post this up on social media as well if anybody wants to grab it. But if we look in here, we can zoom in on this. Let's take this one calls it genius, which I think is kind of a wonderful, wonderful way of describing that. So inside of the genius category, and you see how there's lots of different ways of describing these emotions. You're not right or you're not wrong, but more specific words give us a lot more help, even if we're describing a different, bigger emotion here. So I am right now feeling moved. I'm feeling inspired by all of your genius, by all of you who are here and communicating your emotional life with us. You're sharing your genius. And in fact, that makes me interested. I can be in awe. It can make me feel confident or focused, creative and passionate, or even challenged in a positive way, right? To have a good challenge. And then around the outside here, it's dealing with our intuition and our courage. At the top above joy, we have dignity and resilience. And these are more of like traits. These are qualities a person can have. If you feel disgust, you might have an aversion or feel shame. If you feel fearful, you might feel vulnerable or fragile. Similarly, sadness can give you a sensation of isolation or grief. And anger is a reactive or rageful response. So these are all just different wheels that all very much are doing the same thing. They're illustrating the idea that not only are you feeling good or you're feeling bad, but you can also be feeling these different colors of emotions and then different hues of the emotions and to different degrees of the emotions.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a bit of a shorter stream today. I think Amelia's going to have to dip for a very exciting opportunity, which has come her way. And so you want to dip and I can pull some more. We have some more prizes. I know you got to go. Eliza
Thank
Frantz.
you so much.
Thank you, Eliza. We offer you a hug.
Thank you for the gift subgroup hug.
A big hug and lots of love. Thank you, Eliza. And Hobie, thanks for being here with your Prime.
you.
Appreciate you.
So I'm curious, how do you feel? How do you feel after talking about these different gradients of emotions and being a good mammal? Like, what are your thoughts for our first good mammal stream? You feel a lot calmer, more content.
Cool.
Feel inspired, content,
Confused.
You loved the stream.
Incredible. I loved
feel
it. Curious, feel heard, satisfied. That's a nice way. These are so much better than the beginning when it was like tired.
Intrigued, grateful.
You just got here.
More educated, confused.
Informed, enlightened, understood,
feeling
intrigued.
Very seen, intrigued.
So I'm going to throw one more thing at you real quick while Amelia's still here, because she has 5 minutes to go, and I hope you can echo me on this. And then I'll let you go, and then I'm going to pull some prizes, and we'll round out the stream. This is a lesson, in fact, that I learned from Amelia's dad and from your teacher, Lama Lindsay.
Toi de mer. Toi de mer.
Hello. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
Thank you so much.
Big hug. And if you got a gift sub from any of our gift sub givers, please check out the starter kit. This will show you the way around the channel. So this is a question that comes up a lot for teachers, for pastors, rabbis, monks, lamas, whatever your persuasion of someone who understands life maybe a little bit better than we do, and you want to learn from them. One of the number one questions people will ask for a teacher, or for us, or for a religious teacher or otherwise, is, how do I be happy? I want to be happy. I pursue happiness. And I have watched a lot of videos, I've listened to a lot of teachings, and I have read a lot of things about happiness. And happiness is something that springs out of contentment. What is contentment? So if we have this wheel of all of these emotions, and I'm feeling joyful, well, it's easy to go from joy to happy, because it's a ripe form of joy. If you're having a good day and you're feeling joyful and someone gives you even better news, hop up. It's so easy to hop to even happiness right from where we are. But in a bunch of the other cases, it looks like, here, let's go back to this one, which is the simplest one. If I'm not already in a happy, joyful place, happiness is not going to spring easily from anger.
No.
Happiness is not going to spring easily from sadness. So this space in the middle there, that's in between all of these emotions, is called contentment. Contentment means that things are okay. All it means is that things are okay. So if we are experiencing any of these emotions, we can work to understand them, to communicate them, to express them, to let go of them, to let them dissipate, so we can arrive at contentment. Contentment is the feeling that things are okay, and from contentment, happiness springs out. And this was an amazing discovery for me, because my whole life I was so frustrated that I couldn't go from fear. I feel fearful, but I want to feel happy. You can't go from fearful to happy. You have to go from fearful to just okay, just content, just quietly all right. And then if you allow yourself to stay in that place, you can arrive at happiness, because something will come to make you happy. Spontaneous outside force, something inside yourself springs up. Happiness is easy for you if you're in contentment. So my wish for all of you, and the purpose of doing this stream, is that anytime you feel upset, anytime you feel very, very good, that you can communicate the way you feel by naming it first, expressing it or talking about it or sharing it second, and then third, kind of get those controls on it when you say, because it's going to be different for every person. If I'm feeling angry, the things that help me stop feeling angry are different than the things that will make Amelia feel less angry. So Amelia might say, I need to go do some physical exercise, or go for a walk, put it into motion, right? Whereas for me in anger, it becomes more about needing to really understand it and to really articulate it. And I might be journaling. So one person might go to the gym and the other person might do a journal, but they're both doing the same work of naming and communicating or sharing their emotions. And once you have it, you realize how temporary it is. How my anger is only the way I feel right now. How my fear is only the way I feel right now. And so once we allow those things to be just for right now, that means they're temporary. That means my expectation isn't that everything is going to make me angry or everything is going to make me afraid, but that instead I'm going a little bit to this side and now I can let it reduce back to the center point of contentment. And I really believe that there is a content place that we all find when we're in states of play. So when you're watching someone stream, when you're playing a video game yourself, when you're doing like an icebreaker activity and you're meeting new people, but everybody's attention is on something else, when your focus is off of yourself, it's easier to be content.
That's true.
When all of your attention is in on yourself, it gets blurry and you start to think about, oh my gosh, like which of these many things am I? So my recommendation is if you can work through this, which so many of these things am I? And you can name one or two of them. It allows you this kind of clarity to realize that from any of those points, you can work your way back to just being okay. And then the better and better you get at just being okay, the more frequently you will find yourself spontaneously brought to happiness. Amelia and I are not super happy people, but we do spend a lot of energy getting ourselves back to being okay. And so that makes it possible for us to be happy more frequently because we're not so deep off in the path of anger or deep off in the path of fear. Yeah. Amelia has to go. So we all can say thank you to Amelia. And then I'm going to pull some prizes because we got some prizes to pull. And I'll tell you a little bit about what our upcoming plan is. But Amelia, have so much fun.
Like it's all right.
Yeah, break a leg.
I love you.
You're great. Have fun.
I'll see you all on Friday for Overwatch.
That's right. We're going to play some Overwatch. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
See you, babe.
All right.
Knock 'em dead. That's my wife. She's doing fun NDA stuff. NDA stuff means non-disclosure agreement, which is the opposite of communicating our emotions. It's keeping it all deep bottled inside so you don't get sued. Delicious Nymph, thank you for being here. And Mew Memento, thank you for being here. I got some comments. Delicious Nymph says, I love this stream so much. And Mew Memento says, I think one of the benefits of recognizing and understanding emotions is then being able to accept feeling them, but not having more control over emotions. What emotions we choose to act on and how we communicate them. Absolutely. I think I spent a long time. This is a little personal anecdote. Artists, which I know we have a lot. If you're a visual artist, if you're an actor, if you're a performer, if you're anybody who considers themselves a creative at all, I'm guessing you have a lot of emotional life, okay? Some people can be very analytical, very simple-minded when it comes to their emotions. They're not easily ruffled, right? They have, maybe the difference is some people feel like their emotional diagram is like this. And that when they're the happiest, it goes up a little bit. And when they're the saddest, it goes down a little bit or whatever. And other people like me and a lot of my family feels like this. This is how I feel emotionally, right? So if you're what I'll call a deep feeling person or somebody that has a lot of emotions going on, or maybe you're somewhere, let's put it like this, somewhere in the middle. Okay. You're not feeling emotions all over the place, but you got a lot of emotions. They're there for you. When you're creative, there's a lot of instinct as a writer, as a painter, certainly as an actor, to focus on these emotions and usually the juiciest ones, right? Because the ones we remember, like when we watch a movie that won the Oscar and the best performance, the award for best actor in a leading role goes to, we think about someone who's shown us the depths, not only of human sadness, not only of their loss, but also their feelings of being isolated, of being exhausted, of being heartbroken, right? So when we are artists, we will lean into our feelings of depression, of heartbroken, of hurt, of isolation, of burnout, right? What is also on the depth of human experience? The feeling of being seen, grounded, grateful, tender, free, and kindness. So for me, I'm speaking only for myself as a creative person. When I went to school to learn my craft, to discover my instrument, and to explore the human condition with all of these emotions, I went to learn how to feel me at my most hateful, my most irritated, my most envious, right? Terrified, overwhelmed. I wanted to be doing things that were like really, really colorful emotions, because those are the things that I saw were the best emotions for an artist to have. And I completely forsook all of the ones in the category of joy, because I knew that if I went on stage and real tears were coming out of my eyes and real sadness was in my heart and I had some really, really angsty stuff going on, why, then I would be the best actor. Well, I'll tell you what, I didn't book a lot of work like that. I've done some work like that, but it sucks to be there. And when you do an audition and someone comes in to do an audition and they give you their deepest, angriest exhaustion and depression, nobody really wants to watch that television show. So what I learned through kind of an accident is I had an audition for a show called Jane by Design, and the character is always smiling, very, very happy. He gets the job because his aunt is the boss, okay? Eli Chandler, yes. So I went to this audition, and I was trying my best to do the things that I would do to prepare for a job. And if the job was for a horror movie, I might be working on my sense of overwhelm, of terrified, of being taken advantage of or threatened. So these feelings were alive in me before I would go and do the audition, right? But for Eli, the script was different. The script said, you get the job because your aunt's the boss and you're guaranteed to get the part. It's written in the script that Eli goes for a job interview and he gets the job. So I went to an audition where the things I was preparing for were being grounded, being free, being seen. No matter what I do, I get the job. It's written in the script that I get the job because the character was applying for a job. So in the same way, I had an epiphany of, oh my gosh, I can be happy and it still counts as acting. I can show the bright side of human experience and people will reward this by saying, you did a good job at the audition, we will hire you. And so this was like a mind-blowing thing for me, because I would go and do these auditions and everything I was auditioning for, because I was this creative, deep-feeling person, I was looking for the upset. I was looking for the anger. I was looking for the fear and the sadness in these things. What was the drama? What was the problem for the character? So I just want to remind you, if you're an artist who makes art or writes songs, right? I got friends who are musicians and they're like, I got to use my horrible breakup to motivate these lyrics so that you all know how deep my suffering goes so that I can express the human condition to you. Yeah. But like, don't we also have songs that just make us feel happy? Don't we also want to acknowledge all of the emotions that we have on that side of the wheel? So I just want to use that as an example from my personal life of realizing that all of these emotions are there for you. They can all come up at any time, any day, and that you are welcome to go as deep into them as you want, as your experience tells you you've gone. But don't ignore the fact that just because you're very comfortable with sadness or you're very comfortable with anger because you're used to it, don't get lazy like I was about always staying in sadness. because I thought, well, I better just stay as sad as I can. If I stay real sad, then I'm not wrong, and my emotional life is true, and I'm really good. I know the difference between feeling heartbroken and hurt and depressed. And today I'm feeling depressed, and yesterday I'm feeling heartbroken, and today I felt too much of that, so I'm just feeling numb. Right? That's fine. You're allowed to feel all those things, but you're only allowed to feel those things when you're feeling them. Don't hang on to them. You don't got to stick on to those. What about here? Go explore the other side of the map, right? It'd be like if I played an open world game and I never left the same area of Fog of War. I'm like, this area is uncovered to me, right? This is where I play at levels 1 through 10. And then your character levels up and you can go to another island, or you can go further and further off into the map. Well, it's going to be a little scary because you've never been there before. But you do have all of the depth of experience to go to the places that you've never been. And you're going to be so pleased with yourself for discovering the capacity that you have for these other emotions. So I'm gonna round it out a little bit. We have some prizes to go, some prizes to give. I'm grateful for your kind messages. I'm definitely going to read back through all the chat while we're, evaluating what we want to do for the next Good Mammal stream. But I think that for a little while, I want to do this on Tuesdays at this time. I may make it at a different time later. But the big plan for Good Mammal is that I want to let you all direct us in the things that we explore, like we did for Curiosity Chill. So if you're just joining new, people who have come before can tell you that our Curiosity Chills, we would pull things together and we would say, study marsupials or monotremes. And then we had to look them up. I don't even know what is a monotreme. And then we get into all the details and the things about platypus and echidna and different ecosystems and stuff. So I'm learning while you're learning, right? But I want to let you all suggest the places where we start. So Amelia and I are looking at ways we can do that. We're thinking about having a sign up on our website. We're thinking about having some different tiers of it. There are also some ideas that we've been suggesting for Good Mammal streams, is that we thought people could write in either anonymously or with their name if they wanted to share a more specific experience. That it would be kind of an open workshop thing. So it wouldn't be, it's not going to be like personal therapy for one person, but it would be more of, hey, I want to share this thing I'm going through, and maybe someone else here is also experiencing that. Because a lot of you are experiencing the same kind of things. Like a lot of people are experiencing similar things at similar times. Can we talk about depression, please? It's an important topic, and this whole concept is. Yes, I think depression will be part of it, but look at this wheel. If you're someone who says, I'm struggling with depression, I have struggled with depression. I understand that feeling. Okay, I know that feeling of depression. But look at this wheel, human, fellow Good Mammal. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 slices here. And there's 6 slices here. Someone give me 8 times 6. 8 times 6 on the quick. Somebody's already going to get it to me. 48. Okay, so 48. Just on this wheel alone, depression is 1/58th. Or 1/48th. So 1/50th. Right? That's 2%. 2%. Your depression, my depression, has permission to exist in 2% of this wheel. How miserable was I when I spent all of my time in sadness, disappointment, and depression? That means I'm robbing myself of 98%. Oh, I know depression is a mental illness. Yes. And illnesses can be cured. That's why it's called a mental illness. Depression is not called a thing that you have and you're stuck with for the rest of your life. There's tons of us who will tell you that's not the case. If I have pneumonia, I have pneumonia right now because there's fluid in my lungs. But I can get these fluids out of my lungs, right? So I'm telling you this, friends, you have permission. I, at my most depressed, had permission to feel depression, yes, but to also feel humiliated. I could feel depression and bravery. I could feel depression and kindness, right? Right? So we all have different experiences. I'm not here to negate anyone's feelings. I'm not here to say anyone's depression is to be skipped over, right? But if you have chronic depression, let's say, if you're someone who experiences depression more than 2% of the time, which is a lot of us because we live in this world where a lot of things that are less than desirable get highlighted for us, right? But if you feel depression, hurt, depression, heartbroken, depression, hurt, right? You are feeling depression in a chronic way. Okay? But if I have let's call it arthritis in my hands, I can feel arthritis pains from doing too much activity with my hands, which means that I need to give my hands a break. I need to stretch them, right? So that could be someone who's feeling depressed that day. If I'm feeling depressed one day, the pain of depression is real with me, but it's temporary. It's only there right then. But some people who've experienced that kind of pain, like arthritis in their hands, over and over and over and over again, right? This means that this pain is chronic. It's constant. So they might be feeling happy. They might not be doing anything with their hands. Their hands could be in a brace, but they're still feeling the pain from living in this chronic state. Okay. Medicine can help us with this thing. So medicine can help us with arthritis. Medicine can help us with our depression. But the medicine is not going to single-handedly clear the pain in my hand, right? It can dumb it. It can numb it. It can dull it down. It can make it so I don't currently suffer from it. But my hand still suffers from an inflexibility, or it needs to be relaxed, given a rest. It needs to stretch. I can do physical therapy on my wrist to make it stronger. So with our emotions, it's the same thing. If we're feeling depression, we can get medicine that helps us for depression in the moment. No judgments. Yes. But while receiving medicine for this depression, we can also be doing things to make ourselves more flexible, stronger, more articulate of how it feels so we can describe it. So we can do both of these things. And I suggest, my point of view, my experience has been, and it's different for everyone, is that if you are experiencing any kind of emotion that's not pleasant, right? Because some people, I'll tell you, are chronically envious. And we don't talk about that as a society. We talk about chronic depression, but we don't talk about chronic envy. And so there are things I can do to make myself feel less envious in the moment. But there are also things that I can do, like expressing gratitude through a gratitude journal, to make it so not only do I not experience the jealousy in the moment, but that I can prevent experiencing that kind of jealousy or envy in the future. So I can strengthen myself against those things just in the same way that we wouldn't want to hurt, right? So I'm glad to hear these good newses. I am going to read back through the chat because I see some of you are sending some longer bits, you know. Yes, and listen, I see some things are talking about, I don't want to get into the weeds on medicine versus therapy and physical therapy versus having surgery or having major corrective surgery or life-saving procedures. But all of these things exist in our health, and we understand it. We get that, right? We when it comes to I broke my leg, you understand, well, I can give you some medicine that'll make the pain of the broken... Amelia's at another commitment for now. You could take some pain medicine for your leg right now. You could do things to help recover the pain for the near term, or you could do some things that prevent re-injuring it in the long term. So in all of these things with our emotions, there are solutions and things we can do to help us with our disgust. In the immediate sense, if I'm disgusted by my cat's food, I can just not look at it. I can move away from my cat's food, right? But if it's something that I'm disgusted at that seems to be a more constant thing, I'm disgusted with the, inhumane treatment of some people. It disgusts me. But there are things that I can do to help me alleviate that on a more continual basis. I can inform myself and get more educated. And so then there are also ways that I can learn and prevent myself from being disgusted in the future. For instance, I've taken Twitter off of my phone. That is a way I can protect myself from feeling the constant sense of disgust. I don't know how useful this is, team, but there's things you can do in the immediate sense. There's things you can do in the midterm, in the mid timeline, and there's things that you can do in the long term to take care of yourself. And I think that we all have to acknowledge where we are first with which of these very basic emotions are we? And then we can talk about the degrees of those emotions. And once we have the degrees of those emotions understood, we can start to come up with a path of where we want to go so that we can find ourselves back to the center of all this, which is contentment. So anyway, I could literally go on and on and on. I'm curious. I'll take a little bit of questions out of the chat, and then I want to pull some prizes because we have some more prizes to pull. Thank you to our mods. Thank you, mods. Thank you, lieutenants. I appreciate you so much. Very cool. Very cool. All right, I'm gonna take this a little bit slower, but the idea is going forward to formalize this a little bit. I want to talk to Super Scree and see about maybe we cut these down, but some ideas of good mammal stuff while you all type in questions, and I'll scroll back through the chat. We want to have ways for you to submit topics, things that we want to talk about together. That would be the first level, or maybe voting on topics that other people have recommended. A second level could be asking specific questions about experiences or things that we want to share with everybody else, things that other people might be able to learn from. And then a third tier might even be to do like an edited down version of these streams that would make it maybe like a 20-minute video. So if you can't catch the whole 2-hour live or whatever it is when we discuss, that you would receive like a 20-minute kind of distilled version of this. All right, let me give me a moment just to read in my head here. There's a lot of good advice here, team. A lot of good advice. Oh, there you go. Well, it's true. Having other people to share how you feel. I'm seeing some messages about living alone or not having a roommate, friends, or family to be with. That finding ways to express yourself, especially online, is a great one because you have a relatively easy barrier to entry. You can get into a conversation online and express yourself online. I do know also online, though, it is easier for people to tune out or check out or leave the conversation. So sometimes if you see someone who's saying, oh, I had a really bad day and here's all my bad news, generally speaking, it's harder to keep a stranger around for that. So the more trust and relationship you have with someone, the more of a reciprocation you're going to get for that. But if you find yourself in a place where you want to talk about your emotions, but you feel like if I say all of my emotions out loud and I try to communicate them, I'm only going to turn you away. You won't want to hear all this. The best solution to this is to ask other people about how they are doing, about how their experience is going, because then they might share with you, well, I'm doing okay, but I had a really sad day yesterday. And now you can express your feelings about sadness, and they can talk about how their sadness is similar to your sadness. And you can share ways that you've worked through your sadness together. And another example or way is that there's a lot of resources online. There are chat rooms and messages through a lot of really great organizations, especially when it comes to depression and self-help and that kind of stuff, where there are people whose job or they're volunteering to do it is to be there and to be a good listener. So even though it's a little unrealistic how good a listener they're being, because a normal stranger might not have that much time to hear all of the details of your upset, there are some people who dedicate their lives and really, really want to express and hear you express emotions. I'm glad you're into this. Yes, this is a good perspective. This is the kind of thing that Amelia and I have really been enjoying as we stream, and we want to do more of it. And sometimes it doesn't fit inside of also trying to complete a 60-hour open world game. So this is a way we can spend more time on it. Let's see. This is a question about, or a mention about control. I find it harder to deal with my emotions when I'm angry most of the time. I find it harder to control my anger because I take it out on the wrong people and feel really bad about it afterwards. Still, I always tried to control myself, no matter how difficult it would be. So here's a trick about control. Anger comes from a feeling of no control. All of these things in anger are things that are happening outside of our control that we are not expecting or not wanting. So the correction to anger is patience. It seems really simple, but the phrase patience is a virtue. Patience is a virtue that protects you against wrath. When I woke up and I got a message that our flight was delayed, because we were using that as an example earlier, oh man, anger, frustration, upset, disappointment, all of these things. Man, I don't want to wait 6 more hours. But the only correction for that is patience. So if I try to control my anger, I'm trying to control what's not controlled, which makes me more angry. I have no control over when the plane's going to leave. There's so many other people involved in deciding when the plane is going to fly. So if you're someone who has difficult time controlling your anger, do not try to control it. Try to express it. Try to communicate it, and try to allow room for patience. Because if you give yourself time, which all of you have, unless any of you are like 92 and at the very end of this thing, you all have time. So whatever the thing is making you angry, slow it down a little bit, and you can work away from some of these more angry emotions. We could go on and on. Oh my gosh, there's so many things here. Seeing about grief and loss. Yes, I think that's a great category for us to get into. Let's see. Unless I heard incorrectly, I said you and Amelia were not, you are unhappy people. No, I did not say we are unhappy people. I said we are not happy all the time. People say to us, like, you guys are so happy. And sometimes when we're streaming, this has been the hard thing for me, really. I do my best to put in work, effort, choice, deliberate maneuvering to make myself in my best version, right, when we go live. Sometimes I get really stumped by a puzzle, or I get really frustrated by the controls, or angry because the boss lines are taunting me as I lose over and over again. And then I go, but I'm still feeling pretty good because I'm hanging out at like a newer, a fresher version of those upsets. I'm not someone who throws the controller and smashes the screen. I'm not really someone who screams unless I'm, doing it to like release energy, but I'm not a yeller at people. But in that way, I get messages in the chat that'll go along because people expect us to be content, happy, joyful in all these, sticks and stones against the lightning. And so it's hard for me sometimes when I'm streaming because people who see me just in an okay place when I'm just like, all right, just get this done. Just going to be focused. I look at the chat. Why are you so mad? Why are you sad? Brian's in a bad mood. He's so grumpy today, right? And it's because of this expectation, the difference between, hey guys, what's up? It's happy to see you. And let me get this done, right? But that's me focused or me getting angry, but me at my most angry is at the other side of that wheel. So what I'm suggesting is that we can work towards returning to this center point of calm, this okay, this just content. That's the step. The first step for you, non-binary cheeses, is to acknowledge where you are and then to be working towards this feeling of it's okay. It's just okay. If you're going for a walk and your attention is on the birds in the grass, this is where you feel okay. If you're watching somebody else play a sport and you're on the sidelines and you're not particularly invested in the outcome of the game, you're okay. You're just there. Your attention is off yourself and your emotional life is not controlling you. This is contentment. This is the place. This too shall pass, yeah? Let me just read a little bit. I've been talking nonstop. Absolutely, that our bodies take cues from our emotional life, so our body will literally learn what we tell it to learn and will behave the way we tell it to behave. Okay, I could definitely talk about the creative process and all of that. Like to see more in the world of science, the neurobiology. Yes, I'm into that too. The brain and how it works is great. But I will tell you that part of the stuff in psychology that to me starts to become less immediately useful is when it gets really into like brain chemistry and stuff. To me, I'm a little bit more interested in the behavioral science and the personal development category of all this. It's definitely connected to neurobiology, but I think that when we get into neurobiology, it's going to get a little abstract and a little bit less tangible, a little bit less like we can directly help it. Healthy emotional codependence would be a cool topic to discuss. How can we be better around others, but not heavily relying on them for our own happiness? Codependence is a huge thing we can talk about and something I know way too much about. It's a great, great topic. Writing in journals would be a good topic. Right, pleasant or unpleasant as opposed to positive and negative emotions or comfortable and uncomfortable emotions. These are just ways to describe them. They're not ways to judge them. They're just ways to acknowledge them and be able to communicate them. Let's see. This is feeling good. This is feeling good. Let's see. Struggling with patience. That's real. So Golden Fruit is saying anger. Their therapist taught them that anger is a secondary emotion. Ask yourself what is behind the anger. Yes, exactly. What kind of anger? Impulse control. Impulse control is a big thing. That's like when you feel like I want to do something and then you do it right away, but sometimes you wish you didn't. So there's this little moment in between of going, I want to climb on that beam, to going, I'm not going to climb on that beam. I'm not properly awake for that or whatever. All right, I'm going to jump forward. I am going to read back through here because there's so many comments that are very, very useful. Let's see. You'd climb that beam? There you go. But here's the thing. And this is why I say about flexibility, about strength, about balance. These are words that we use to describe our physical form, right? My brother was a gymnast for much of our lives growing up. He's a very physically informed person. And the three areas that a gymnast can be really, really great at is they can be strong. You know what a strong gymnast looks like, right? They can lift their own body weight and hold themselves up in the air. And they can move heavy things, right? They can also have good balance, right? So our emotions can be strong. Some people are feeling very faint emotions, or some people feel very strong emotions, or they have a very strong understanding of communicating their emotions. You can also have balance. So balance is I'm walking along the beam. I don't want to fall this way and I don't want to fall that way. So some people could be very strong, but they don't have very good balance, right? Some people can have great balance, but they're not very strong. The other category for a gymnast, besides strength and balance, is flexibility. So if I'm flexible, that means I can bend over and touch my toes, right? It means I don't get pain when I reach all the way this way or reach all the way that way. So in this emotional wheel here, of all the things here, I'm going to get more simple. Here's a more simple one. If I am strong with my emotions, I can communicate that I'm feeling anxious or powerless instead of feeling scared, right? That's a good example of being strong in my emotions. I understand the flavor, okay? If I am balanced, then that means I feel afraid, but I also feel confident. Sometimes I feel embarrassed, but sometimes I feel happy. So some people could feel very strong emotions all of the time, but they're only in that one emotion and then they get stuck. So that's strength without balance. But you could have balance, right? With less strength of emotion, where you're like, I feel this way and then I feel that way, but I don't really know which I'm feeling, right? And then flexibility is your ability to go from one emotion to the next. So emotions for actors, you have to be flexible because that's what's interesting, right? When you're watching someone give a great performance, they're giving you all these little hues. They might be annoyed, but then they go to feeling guilty. And before you know it, they're feeling powerful. And then they're feeling disappointed. Bing, 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 bing. And all of those things help us understand the human experience. So my hope for Good Mammal is that you all become stronger when it comes to your emotions, that you become more balanced when it comes to your emotions, and that you become more flexible when it comes to your emotions. So using depression as the example that we used, some people feel a lot of strength in their depression. They know a lot about it. They feel it so much. There's so much depression there, right? But could they also grow to have some balance so that if they're feeling really depressed, I mean, I'll tell you what, as someone that I've got a little of everything in my family team. And if I had to choose between, I mean, there's a lot of options, but if I was going to choose between living only in depression and always in depression, and depression is the only thing, I think I would even take the other one, which is a little scary too, where you feel so hard in depression and then you feel so high in the mania, right? This is bipolar. This is manic depressive. This is, I feel strength in the upset and I feel strength in the happiness, right? And there's some balance there, but it's only this way and that way. So more balance would be if I could feel that kind of strength of emotion going in all of these different directions. That if I was very, very happy and very, very sad, that I would also allow myself to feel very, very loved or very, very playful, that I would give myself permission to be very, very afraid or very, very disgusted, right? And then once we get to this place of understanding some balance, we can have flexibility. So that if we're feeling an emotion that we don't like, one that's not comfortable for us, one that we've spent too much time in, we know how to be flexible and bend and get our way out of it. So if I'm feeling overwhelmed by my sense of being betrayed or my sense of anger, yeah, if you feel very, very angry and it hurts you, right? You can start to find ways to let go of the anger and let go of the sadness so that you have permission to move back into that center of the wheel. And then when we get to the middle, where is it? We have our contentment, right? So I think this is useful. I really honestly could talk about this all day, which is why I decided I would like to do the Good Mammal streams at all. Yes, we should put it up on YouTube. But I just want you all to give yourself a huge round of applause. Give yourself a pat on the back. Know that I'm going like this, thumbs up to you, because you could be anywhere on the internet right now. You could be looking at something that makes you feel joyful. You could be looking at something that makes you feel disgusted. You could be looking at something that makes you feel angry, but you're not. You're here, right now, to give yourself permission. There you go, tiny claps, to find your way back to contentment. And you're doing work. You're doing work right now by reading in the chat, by sharing with each other, by listening, by thinking, by reflecting on how your own emotions are. You're already doing the work. You're capable of doing this kind of work, and it doesn't get that much more difficult. It gets more specific. There's more details. There's more tricks of the trade or things you find out. Oh, well, personally, I can get away from this kind of pain if I do that, or I can do that. But you should be proud of yourself. Yeah. Because when you do it one time, it gets easier to do it the next time. The same as going for a run, the same as going to the gym, the same as painting a wall. If you've never painted a room before, it's a learning curve. You make a mess, right? But if you've painted a bunch of rooms before, you know you're going to use tape to go around the edge. Or I've done it so many times, I'm not going to waste time with tape. I'm just going to get a nice brush and go real slow, right? It gets easier and easier and easier. It gets less and less intimidating. Right? It doesn't seem like, oh no, if I go to therapy, I'm going to have to talk about my deepest my childhood trauma. No, you can just start with, how are you today? Today I'm feeling a little hoarse in the throat, feeling a little bit like I've been talking too much, you know? So I just want to give you all that kind of a thing. There you go. The butterfly hug, is this what you're talking about? This, you really, if you need a hug and you don't have one, give yourself a compression. Give yourself like this. I really do it. If I'm actually very upset, if I'm very, very sad, I will do this. And this helps to calm me. It helps to regulate my breathing. And in acting, we would do things from the outside in. We would do breathing patterns that can induce emotions. So you can go the other way. Instead of doing physical things to get yourself out of emotions, you can do physical things to get yourself into emotions. You can get yourself into counter emotions. There's power stances. There's ways you can make yourself feel more confident. There's all kinds of things that we can do and tools that we can use to take care of ourselves, but they're useless unless you show up. And you showed up. You're here. You're going to spend some time today. Maybe the next time you feel some emotion, you'll just Google or pull up one of these. I'll post them on social media if you want. Look at one of those wheels and see next time you're talking to someone, if someone asks you, how are you doing? See if you can give them like a little bit more info. See if you can give them a more colorful word to help it, you know? Let's see. Adapting to other people's emotions, even though you're not feeling what they are, it's empathy. But there's a split thing there, because you have to be aware of your own emotional life, whether you like it or not. You have to. You can either not acknowledge it and suffer, or you can acknowledge it and move past it, right? So if you're in a place where you're feeling like, I am kind of changing my emotions to get by and to smile and nod and kind of go with the flow of your emotions, this is a gateway to being in a codependent relationship. This is a gateway to being subservient to other people's emotions. I grew up, I had family. I see people asking about parents. I have one parent who is an early childhood educator who is used to talking to kids about their emotions. And I have one parent who is a deep feeling person who does not talk about their emotions. So the deep feeling person who does not talk about their emotion creates this kind of weather in the house that everyone else has to kind of deal with. And I would suggest, if you're like me, as the kid to that parenting situation, that being able to communicate your emotions will help you, and of trying to get this adult to ask, or the other person in your partnership or whatever the thing, They are responsible for communicating their emotions to you, but they don't do the work. They're not here, right? So instead, who has to do the work? Everyone else, which is tiresome, because if they don't show you on the wheel that they're feeling isolated and lonely, then how are you supposed to help them? Because you're looking at them and you're like, well, you look angry. So my guess is that you're aggressive and violent. And so you stay away from them. You say, you're being aggressive and violent. You're being mean and mad. I don't want to be around someone who's mean and mad, so I'm going to leave you alone. But they're feeling isolated and lonely. But they didn't tell me they're feeling isolated and lonely. I thought they were feeling angry, so I left them alone. But when I left them alone, it made them feel more isolated and alone. So we can be good examples to other people, because none of us can get our parents to explain themselves, our partner to explain themselves. None of us can control I can't control any of you. I have no control over any of your emotions. But would you agree that by me expressing my emotions and me sharing my emotions with you, it makes you more comfortable to say how you're feeling and your emotions? So the only way that I can help this parent in the example to be better at communicating their emotions is for the change to bloom in me, for the change to be something that I show them how. Because now I'm saying, hey, I'm feeling a little afraid. I'm feeling a little intimidated by you because I think that you're angry with me. I see that you're mad and aggressive, and I don't want you to be violent and furious. And so I am feeling afraid. And then the person is saying, but I was feeling isolated and lonely. Not aggressive and violent or mad and furious. I was feeling isolated and lonely. Don't be afraid of me. I'm feeling lonely. And then you say, oh, you're feeling lonely. Can we talk about how you feel isolated and lonely? What things will make you feel less lonely? Right? So all conversations, all people are different. All of your relationship dynamics are different. This is a disclaimer that goes for everything I say. If it works for me, it might not work for you. And sometimes the best thing is to just get out, to just be like, hey, giving you some space. Bye. Moving away, going to a different state. There's other options too. You can write them a letter that says you've been a shitty parent. Bye. Talk to you in a decade, maybe. Right? That's another option. But before we go to the throw up the deuces and boo up, move up and out, you do have some options in between. Okay? So this is not going to work with everybody because everybody's in their own journey, but each of us, so everybody, is capable of doing this kind of work if they want to, but they have to want to. And that's where the question between being I'm angry right now, and I'm an angry person, someone who's chronically angry, who's always angry, they've given up on looking at the other parts of that balanced, flexible, dynamic color wheel, and they got stuck on anger or depression or fear or whatever. Unfortunately, the hardest one to get stuck on is joy. I don't really know a ton of people who get stuck on joy, but that would be cool. But that's often, I think, why people end up misusing drugs and alcohol, because they think, oh, well, I'm only capable of getting stuck in emotions, and I want to get stuck in happiness or mania, right? But then the only way to keep that going usually is with, either spending a lot or using drugs and alcohol, which I'm not unilaterally against. I'm just saying that if you're looking to make your color wheel more colorful, if you're like, oh, I'm always stuck in one of these other categories, and then, okay, the way I get out of boredom or the way I get out of anger or the way I get out of fear or whatever is to drink or smoke or whatever, it could be a sign that you're not doing the work. It's a sign that you're taking a shortcut. And I'll tell you from personal experiences in my life and people that I care very, very much about, there's not really a shortcut to this kind of work because it's not that deep a work. You got to explore yourself, but once you know it, you know it. Your heart knows if you're right or if you're wrong. Your instincts, your good mammal instincts know these things. So you don't have to you don't have to get other people to validate that. If you say you're feeling disgusted, you're feeling disgusted. If you're feeling disenchanted, you're feeling disenchanted. No one else gets to say anything about it. It's just yours. It's entirely yours. All right, let's give away some prizes. Let's do some things. I am going to stream a little bit later. I'm going to play some Diablo 4, which is just the public releases today. And I played Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 when I was a kid. So I'm going to come back on around maybe 2 or 2:30 or something. Do a little bonus stream, checking out the beginning of it. If you gotta go sleep, what was my first example? A dog, when he's tired, will sleep. So if you're tired, sleep. Just go to bed. There's nothing that's gonna happen that you can't just catch up on tomorrow or do next time. Go to bed. Go to bed. Go to bed. So also we'll talk about other kinds of things, like other ways we can take care of ourselves, both physically and mentally, emotionally, spiritually a little bit. It's a dealer's choice kind of a thing. But if you need, pro tip is go to bed if you need to. You need to. All right. Ooh-wee. Thank you so much for being here. This is very good. My email is emaildechart@gmail.com. ! Email in the chat. If you have any ideas, if you want to spitball for the beginning of Good Mammal, next time, hopefully by next Good Mammal stream, I will have a little bit more of a formulation of how we're going to break this down and how we're going to let people get involved. I know that it's a personal thing to be sharing about our emotions. So we're going to try to find out the most responsible way to do this so that everybody is able to learn from it. But maybe we are going to have some tiers of how people want to contribute. If you want to be the ones who are recommending what game, or not what games, but what categories and what kind of things we're going to explore together. And also then a tier for people who would like to ask specific questions and see if we can come up with some answers, not just me and Amelia, but with everybody here on stream. And then a third thing we've been talking about is editing down these streams to maybe be like a shorter thing, like a 2-hour long stream, but then we actually share it in like a 20-minute segment or something. Lethal Vixen, thank you for being here for 3 months. Appreciate you. And Case Face W's back for 29 months. My goodness. Thank you. Nikiro for 27 months. Cello Girl for 6. Elena, thank you for being here and for the gifted sub. And Sierra Universe, thank you for being here for 11 months. Thank you, friends. Thank you, friends. Okay, let's go. We got some prizes to pull, and then yes, I will post up all these various these charts and things that we explored today. But remember that none of them is correct and none of them are wrong. They're all just interpretations of human existence. So if you want to call something excitement and somebody else calls it anticipation, it's really just the flavor of how you see it, right? Crystallized Faith. Thank you. Offering a big hug on behalf of Amelia and myself. Thank you, Crystallized, for the 5 gifted subs. And here we go. We got some prizes. Let's see. Is my buddy Therium Dragon still here? Therium Dragon had a birthday, and I missed it. Spicy Ninja, thank you for the 5 gifted subs as well. Thank you. Therium Dragon also gifted some prizes. So I want to gift 6 prizes from Therium Dragon right about now. Thank you. And a big happy birthday to you. We were a little distracted, but we did find the material, the cable for our upcoming Zelda stream. Amelia and I are going to be streaming Zelda starting on next Sunday, and we start Hades on Saturday at noon Pacific time. Next Tuesday, we'll do another good Mammal stream. The subtitle will probably change, and our next stream will be on Friday. On Friday, we're playing Overwatch 2. You know I love it. You know I love it. Maybe I'm hooked. Maybe I'm hooked. Shall we? Okay, here we go. Here come 6 from Therium Dragon. Happy birthday, Therium Dragon, and thank you for supporting our stream. We hope you have, like, so much fun. All right, the winner is Roylyn Nee. Congratulations. Thank you, Roylyn Nee. Appreciate you being here. I'm going to send you a whisper, upper right-hand corner of Twitch. This will give you instructions on how to claim your prize. Fantastic, and thank you for the gift subs again, Therium, or the gift prizes, Therium Dragon. Here we go. Let's go like this. A Blazed Ash. Congratulations, Blazed Ash. You're winner number 2. Next up goes to Kalendra. Kalendra, congratulations. That's 3. And Sej Swim. That's 4. Congratulations. Next up is... Oh, it's Wishix. Wishix, congratulations. You're winner number 5. And now let's pull one more winner right here. And... Oliver 4ZL. Congratulations, Oliver 4ZL. Congrats to all of our winners. Please check your whispers for instructions on how to claim your prize. And let me see. I might have another prize or two. I want to make sure I'm all caught up. Yes. If you would like to order them, you can just get them on DechartGames.com. And if you've won a prize recently, I am going to be sending them off in the mail. A bunch of mail is going out today and tomorrow. So if you won a prize recently, thank you for your patience. Amelia and I were gone for a week right after the Detroit stream, so the prizes are a bit delayed. We got a prize from a bird. A bird has gifted a prize. Thank you, a bird. Congratulations. Let's pull one more winner from a bird. And the winner is Allie Noel _9. Congratulations, Allie. And thank you, a bird, for gifting the prize. So on Friday, team, I'm pretty sure on Friday we're going to be able to share with you the full trailer for Evolutus Duality. Exclamation point Evolutus in the chat will get you the link if you'd like to add it to your Steam page wish list. But this is the teaser, and I think on our Friday stream we are going to share with you the full trailer. This is Amelia's working on this game right now. We voice directed it together. We're both in the cast, but Amelia is the lead, the playable character. Check it out. This is Evolutus. See you in 30 seconds and we'll do our raid. Here you go.
You took me in when I had nothing. Gave me clothes and food, a place to live. But the most precious thing you gave me was your way of life. Your principles, honor, and honesty. I know it would make you ashamed of me. I'm ashamed of me. But I just can't let you go.
There you have it. There it is, team. That's Evolutus Duality. It is a cyberpunk animated fighting game with a branching narrative and a cast I cannot wait to tell you all about. The cast is amazing, friends. Some legendary actors joining us. Where shall we raid? Number 1, if you'd like some live music to unwind, or number 2 in the chat for Stardew Valley. We'll get you more information on Evolutus when the full trailer comes out this weekend. Number 1 in the chat for live music, number 2 in the chat for Stardew Valley. And thanks, mods. Thanks, lieutenants. We appreciate you. Thank you so kindly. Thank you so kindly. Thank you so kindly. I'm going to go live in about 2 hours and change. I got to do a voiceover audition and do a little bit of work. We're going to get some mail figured out for you all. So we got to get some prizes in the mail. But after that, I'm going to jump on and do a little Diablo 4 just to check it out. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Thank you, friends. Thank you for the good luck, good vibes. And again, good work, everybody. Thank you for spending your time and for thinking about this kind of stuff. I hope that after more and more streams like this, we'll all be feeling very confident with our emotions and ways we can take care of ourselves, because really, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And the only way to give love, to get love, is to give love. And one way to give love, easiest way to give love, is to yourself. So love yourself. Love is the answer. It's not more complicated. I wish I could tell you that it's more complicated, but it's not. If you love yourself, if you're gentle with yourself, if you take care of yourself, everything else figures itself out. Everything else stems from that. Thank you, friends. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I don't know if I'll serenade you. I'm not much of a singer, but I like to sing. Thank you for being with us, friends. All right, we're going to go raid over and do some live music. I'm coming with you. We're going to the Natalie page. Let's do it. Appreciate you all being here. Trekkie, thanks for using your Prime. And Jay Boogie Yo, thanks for the 4 months of support. Thank you all. Miss Okami, thank you, friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. You're all very welcome. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to spend time with you like this. Thank you for spending time on yourself. Good on you. Now, if you need to go to bed, go to bed. And if you need to stay up and do some stuff, stay up and do some stuff, but see if your bed is made. Those are your 2 missions. Either go to bed or make sure your bed is made. That's it. And if it's not made, you can make it and then go in it. You'll enjoy it more. You're in your bed? Perfect. All right. Thank you, friends. My name is Brian. Amelia also says hello. This is our Twitch. You are a good mammal. And we'll see you soon. Let's have on this fun. Let's raid. 3, 2, 1. Raid, 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 raid.